Arkansas' Sam Pittman will be next. Hogs will travel to Auburn on Saturday at 2:30 Central on ESPN. Hey, Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could please take a minute to comment on your team as you enter this week's SEC opener.
Well, we're thank you. We're trying to get healthy. Oklahoma State game beat us up a little bit. We're trying to get healthy. I think we'll take a healthier team into Auburn. A lot of respect for them. They beat the heck out of us last year and in our building, and certainly have a lot of respect for Coach Freeze and the job that he's done there and throughout his career. And we're looking for him. We know it's going to be loud, and it's going to be our first SEC game. So we're excited. I've had a good week of practice so far and excited to go up there.
Coach, we'll start with Nathan King of Auburn 24/7.
Hey, Sam, I was just wondering, what Travis's kind of motivation level is for this game. It's the first time he'll be back at his alma mater on the other sideline, and just how you feel like his defense has sort of grown since you made that decision to hire him a couple years ago.
Well, first of all, it was a great hire. Wonderful man, wonderful coach. Travis was here last year, when we played him, and we were very motivated then to play, and we got the heck kicked out of us. I think there's some motivation involved in that as well. But going back for him, it'll be special for him to go back to his alma mater, and the bottom line is we have to prepare and get ready, and our guys have to go out and execute the plan. But to ignore that he's going back to Auburn and where he played would be silly. And so he certainly is excited about the opportunity, as we are each and every week.
Next is Trey Biddy of HawgBeat.com.
Hey, Coach. You guys always talk about, leading from within the team and stuff. And I was just curious, with this being such an important game, the SEC opener for you guys, has there been anybody that's maybe stepped up in kind of a leadership or motivational role, or maybe had certain words with the team or something like that from within? And just overall, how has the mentality been?
Yeah, the mentality's been great this week. Two really good practices, physical practices. We're flying around the football. We understand, SEC getting ready to play Trey. And, Landon Jackson's kind of that guy that you're speaking of defensively, and Taylor Green's the guy on offense for the most part is vocal. But been very spirited practice, very physical practices. And our team has played extremely hard at practice, getting around the football, straining on offense. But those two guys you're talking about have been Green and Landon.
And you guys will release your first ever official injury report on tonight. I was wondering, what goes into that? Obviously, you have communication with somebody, and I guess maybe Kyle is the person that enters that information. Just curious what the process is for delivering that.
Yeah, Dave Polanski will be the guy that does that. And it'll be basically, Trey, just, what we talked about in this morning's meeting. And we have been doing this for the last couple of weeks just to prepare for it. Certainly things could change after practice, but we're ready to send it out. And again, we've done that, kind of like what we think it will look like when we send it out tonight for the last couple of weeks.
Thanks, Coach.
Next is Tom Murphy, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Sam, I'm looking at your third down conversion success on offense, and I'm wondering what has played into that, you think, the biggest factors?
I think preparation, and the fact that we've run the ball. It's been very good this year. Some has been shorter than others, but I can remember we have converted many 3rd and 8 pluses, but we've also converted the short ones, which in the past, those were very, very difficult for us. But so I think it's game planning, practicing it, and certainly the ability to run the ball helps us on those 3rd down situations.
I'm glad you didn't say preparation H at the very first there.
That may help too. I don't know.
When you lose a game the way you did to Auburn last year, I don't know if people take it so personally that they're more motivated the next year. Do you get any sense from your team about wanting to kind of undo that?
Well, I think the ones that were here certainly last year should be motivated by that. Teams are changing so much now, Tom, with the portal, that you have a lot of kids that didn't experience it that are playing for us now. So maybe in the past that was more motivation because you didn't have the exchange of players like you have now. But certainly we're aware, as they are too, that they came in here and embarrassed us. But it affects about half the team. It doesn't probably affect the whole team.
Next up will be David Eckert of the Austin American-Statesman.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
All right, David. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, thanks. Kind of a conceptual one here for you, if you'll indulge me. Obviously, you coached in the Big 12 back in the day, and you've played a bunch of those teams in non-conference lately. I'm just curious if you can kind of compare and contrast the traits of those teams to the ones that you see in the SEC every week.
Well, there's good football, obviously, in the Big 12, really good football. And the difference probably is the size of the offensive and defensive line, even though both of those are, kids are getting bigger and you're recruiting bigger players. Probably we try to, not all teams, but we try to run the ball a little bit more in this league because of the physicality of the offensive lines and try to stop the run a little bit more. We're not quite as wide open, even though we've become more like that in the SEC. But it's just really good football in both leagues and high respect for the Big 12. Yeah, but that's really, to me, that's the difference is the size of the kids in this league seem to be a little bit bigger.
Appreciate it, Sam. Thanks.
Next is Jackson Fuller of the Times Record.
Hey, Sam. With Hudson out, we saw Larry take some snaps at safety last week. I'm just curious. I know Hudson was kind of also one of the backup hog positions. Who are some guys maybe that are competing with D'Amico and can maybe spell him for some reps?
We believe in Tevis Metcalf. We believe that he can do that. We obviously have a plan with Larry, like you said, and if we get much past it, we can move Tevis Metcalf around a little bit, even though he's starting for us, and move Nico Slaughter around if we have to at that point too. So we're a little thin back there, but that would be where we would go right now with certainly Larry and then Tevis.
And I know we'll get the official report tonight, but, can you share it all? Addison, I know you were confident or at least happy with his progress on Monday. Are you still happy with how he's looked in practice maybe this week?
Yeah, I think I think he'll probably be listed as probable on that list tonight. And he looked better yesterday than he ever has over the past week and a half at practice. So I would say that he would be probable right now.
Coach, we'll finish you up with Mike Griffith of Dog Nation.
Coach, forgive the self-indulgence here. I noted you've been a part of 10 Division I programs, and obviously you were a huge part of Kirby building a culture at Georgia. Was there anything unique about what Georgia did during the bye week? I think he's won 21 straight when he's had more than a week to prepare now.
Well, we've kind of taken that model here as well, and I don't believe we've lost a game on a bye week either. But we've taken that approach, and I don't know that it's unique, and I'm pretty sure Kirby doesn't want me to share it, and so I'm not going to. But it's a time to get your kids healthy. It's also a time to prepare for your opponents, a time to practice some of the kids that don't get to play quite as much. But the bottom line is, I think Coach does an outstanding job in all phases, and it's a time to recruit. But I think he does a wonderful job of understanding his personnel and his team and who to continue to put a little bit of wear and tear on and who not to. And I think Coach Smart understands his team as good as anybody in America and his players and the mentality they have. And I think, therefore, and you give him another week, watch film on an opponent, and he's very, very dangerous. And so I would imagine all those things put together is why he's had so much success.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you all.
Next, we'll be joined by Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. The Tigers will host Arkansas on Saturday at 2:30 Central on ESPN. And, Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could please take a moment to comment on your team as you enter this Saturday's SEC opener.
Like everybody, getting ready to step into conference play is it challenges you in a lot of ways, mentally and physically, and in your preparation, knowing that you're getting ready to play some of the best coach teams and best athletes and best rosters. So it's something that you get into this league for, and we're looking forward to facing what I think is a very improved Arkansas team for sure.
Coach, we'll start you off with Bob Hope of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Hugh. How you doing?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. I noticed that your Monday presser, you talked about Arkansas's offensive line being much improved, and Carmona is a big part of that. And I know you guys recruit him out of the portal like a lot of other teams did. I was wondering what you may have, what do you like about him that made y'all, recruit him out of the portal, and then what have you seen from him maybe helping Arkansas improve this season?
Yeah, I wish we would have got him. I liked him a lot. I thought he had really good feet and obviously girth, and I know Brent Brennan's a really good friend of mine, and he was the head coach there at San Jose, and had nothing but positive things to say about him as an individual. And, unfortunately, we never got him on campus. Arkansas did a great job of convincing him to end his recruiting on their visit, but really, really solid player.
And then, DJ Dirk and your defensive coordinator and Bobby Petrino here, they coached together at A&M last year. Now, maybe that happens more than I think, where guys face each other the year after they were together somewhere. But I just wonder what you thought about that dynamic, how that could impact the game.
I hadn't really talked to DJ much about that, other than, they obviously have some familiarity from their time together at a previous school. I think Bobby is such a good offensive coach that he probably changes from school to school based upon the talent that he has. And I think they looked a little bit different here than they did at A&M. But, when he adjusts, just like all of us do, I guess, when you have some strengths or weaknesses. And so I don't know if their time together is advantageous for one or the other, but maybe more advantageous for Bobby. I don't think DJ has changed a lot, but both will have good game plans, and both will have to make adjustments. And so I don't know that it's a big deal, but certainly there is some familiarity.
Thanks, Hugh.
Yep.
Next, we'll go John Zehner, the Associated Press.
Hey, Hugh. I'm wondering, we all kind of saw Hank Brown yesterday and some in fall camp. Last weekend and some in fall camp and everything. I'm wondering, how did he kind of measure up when you're looking at all season, how guys, whatever criteria y'all evaluate players on, how did he do, from start to finish the off season?
I don't think there's anything in Hank's life that, as a coach, you would look at and say he's been less than in his attempt to be his best. So whether that's, in the off-season workouts and strength training or academics, he's just that type of kid and that type of leader comes from an incredible family and prepares himself every single week, whether he's a starter or not a starter. Great teammate. And his off-season work is the same reflection of what you see from him every day.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Next is Nathan King of Auburn 24/7.
Hey, Hugh, another question about Hank. Yeah, we talked to him yesterday, and he was, recalling his relationship with you and Kent, obviously going back a few years. You mentioned that you saw him first in 10th grade. I guess just what kind of qualities, did you see in him, making him, the guy that you wanted at quarterback, whether it was at Liberty and at Auburn? And then I guess when you got this job, what were those conversations? Was it a pretty easy sell to get him to follow you to Auburn once you got the job?
Yeah, well, let's make sure I'm clear. He didn't even start. Those were in camps when I saw him, and we didn't offer him. I don't believe he started until his senior year. He played behind some really good players now, and it wasn't until we obviously had a relationship, but really it picked up when he started putting tape together his senior year, and we decided probably halfway through that season he was the guy we wanted, and that's when it really picked up for sure. And so I was always impressed with him, but we as coaches can outthink ourselves, and you come to a camp and you do really well, but you're not the starter at your high school. That's not the easiest of sales in my mind. But thankfully we didn't hurt ourselves too much until we got to really see him put the product on the field. And obviously when we came here, I wasn't big on taking many of Liberty's players, but he certainly was not there yet and hadn't signed. And we were looking for a quarterback in that class. And of the one, we had probably, 2 weeks when I got here before signing day. And just the familiarity and comfortability with him and knowing who he was and how he was going to go about working kind of made it an easy sell for me to try to convince him to do this.
Next is Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Hey, Coach. I know he probably won't play this weekend, but Walker White's the guy that there's a lot of interest in him in Arkansas. I'm curious if you could maybe give an update on how he's developing in his first year there in your system.
Another man, just he and Hank are two of the best human beings. They're in church with us every Sunday and are about the right things for our program. He leads that scout team probably better than any scout team quarterback I've ever seen, and wants to compete every single snap in that. And it's hard to say how his development's coming right now in the season because you can't get reps for everybody in your preparations for game. But I thought in spring, in the 15 practices we had, I thought he really came on and has a real chance to be a really good player at this level.
Next we'll go to Tom Murphy, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Hey, Hugh, when you beat a team the way you guys beat Arkansas last year, is there a psychological component to convincing the guys who were on last year's team that, hey, they improved through the portal, they're better? Is that an unsaid thing, or do you have to talk to them about that?
I hope I don't. I haven't brought that up. I think last year's last year, and obviously they have drastically improved the roster, and the tape speaks for itself. And when our kids see that, hopefully we have enough maturity to know that every game has a life of its own, and sometimes they snowball in rare instances in this league. And that was one of those, but that's not a common thing. And now they certainly are much, much better in their roster. And so I don't think we have to convince our kids of that. And I'll say this about Sam, and of course I love Sam. I think he's one of the best guys in the business, but his teams play on the road extremely well. If you go back and look at the scores, and so I think our kids know we're in for an incredible challenge.
And I was wondering how you think special teams might play a part in this game. You got the punt return touchdown from Scott last year in the game, but also in a lot of recent seasons, Auburn scored on special teams in this series.
That would be huge. I'll take it right now if we could figure out a way to do that. That's always a winning edge. If you can win field position battle in special teams or put some points on the board from special teams, it would be huge. And Tanner's done a nice job with ours thus far, other than we've had a couple of turnovers, which is very frustrating. We got to get fixed in the return game. But that would be a big winning edge if one team could produce points on special teams.